The Halifax real estate market is about to crash. Remember when everybody was talking about this? Well, in October, home sales are up 21% and home prices are up 9% compared to October last year. And remember, this was supposedly supposed to be a pretty slow year in the Halifax real estate market. So in today's video, I'm going to dive into some of the numbers, and I'm also going to talk about things like rising demand, the market conditions, and interest rates. And more importantly, make sure you stick around till the end because I'm going to tie all this together and talk about what it means for you if you're looking to buy or sell a home in Halifax anytime in the foreseeable future. Now, just before I get into it, if you're new here, my name is Andrew Stephens. I'm a realtor in Halifax. I've been doing this for 10 years now. And if you want to be educated on the Halifax real estate market, then hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And if you're thinking about making a move in Halifax and you want to get in touch with me, you can book a call with me anytime in the Calendly link below. Now the stats are in for October, so let's start off with a review of the year to date, January 1st to October 31st in 2024. So far this year, in the first 10 months in the HRM, we've had just over 4,500 home sales, and this is up 8% compared to the same time frame in 2024. Now, we're not just selling more homes, we're also selling them for more money as a general average. So far this year, the average home price is just under $580,000, and this is up 4.5% compared to the same time frame in 2024. And to give you an idea of what's going on in the market around HRM, right now in HRM at any price point, there's a total of just over 1,000 homes for sale. So if you're looking for a home, there's 1,000 options online right now, depending on what kind of price point that you're looking at. Now, that might sound like a lot, but it really isn't, historically speaking. And generally speaking, that number, it really depends on what you're looking for. Because if you're looking for a home in the, let's say, under $500,000 range or under $600,000 in HRM, it's a lot more difficult than if you're looking for a home in, let's say, the $800,000 or $900,000 range, just purely based on what kind of demand is in each of those price points. But again, I'm going to circle back around to that in a little bit, and we're going to get into what that means for you if you're looking to buy or sell a home. Now, let's dive in a little bit more specifically to October 2024 versus October of 2023. Last year in October of 2023, the average sale price across the HRM for the sales that month was just over $528,000. Comparing that to this year, it's up 9%, which is just under $576,000. So again, that's a pretty big jump in 1 year, 9% for a single month. And obviously, there's only so many sales in a single month, so it's a little bit skewed potentially. And like I said, year to date, we're up about 4.5% compared to that same time frame last year. So we'll see where the numbers fall at the end of the year, but I would suggest that we're going to end up somewhere in the HRM around 4 to 6% increase year over year, as I don't think the sale prices are coming down in the next 2 months in November and December. So it wasn't just the price points that were up in October. We also sold a lot more houses. So total sales were up 21%, meaning last October we had 397 sales, and this October we had 480 home sales, which is a pretty strong October in Halifax. Now, again, in terms of October, that's a pretty big spike. And how do we get there? Well, make sure you stick around because I'm going to circle back around to that in a little bit. But I'm going to talk first about the overall current market conditions in the HRM. Right now, like I said, we have right around 1,050 homes for sale, depending on exactly when you pull that number, as it's always changing. So just over 1,000 homes for sale across the HRM, and that's in any type of price category. That works out to about 2.2 months of listing inventory, which is a seller's market throughout the HRM. Last year, for context, in 2023, around this time, we were sitting around 2.5 months of listing inventory. So we have less listing inventory now than we did in October of 2023. Now, the problem with this is obvious. We have way too much demand in our marketplace right now for the supply that we currently have. And that's what I mean by a seller's market. There's not enough homes for sale based on how many buyers are looking to purchase homes. And that's why you're seeing things like bidding wars. You're seeing some listings move very quickly. And again, it depends on the price point and what kind of market you're looking in. But that's a big reason, is the out of whack supply and demand. Not nearly enough supply for the demand that we currently have in HRM. Now, that's kind of a lot of numbers thrown at you really quickly here, and I just wanted to kind of get those out of the way. So now let's talk about, what kind of factors are leading to these market conditions in the first place, because I think there's a lot of things that are kind of feeding into this, and I think this is something that a lot of people don't truly have a really good understanding of. So first of all, as you know, the interest rates are starting to come down. This is going to eventually put a little bit more demand in our market. There's no doubt about that. The question is, when is this going to happen? Because so far, I don't really think I've seen a ton of demand increase with these rates coming down, but a big reason for that is that the variable rate is what is affected by the Bank of Canada's announcements, not the fixed rate. So most of the year, the fixed rate was less than the variable rate, so most people were not taking the variable rate anyway, or if they were, it was because they were going to look to lock their rate in a year or two from now when the rates are in theory keeping to come down. But these rates coming down are certainly doing one thing, and that's increasing the consumer confidence. I think consumers from the buyer perspective are much more confident that the market's not going to tank or crash, like I mentioned in the intro. I think that was the sentiment, as people were waiting for something bad to happen. But now it's been long enough, and the market is showing that it's stable and that we're kind of, breaking the mold in Atlantic Canada. And I think that has a lot of people's confidence rising. And when that consumer confidence starts to rise and the demand starts to go up with it, that's going to put more demand in our marketplace, especially as the rates from Bank of Canada continue to come down. And a couple forecasts I've seen lately have talked about another 0.5 decrease and another 0.5 decrease on the horizon, which is going to get those rates much lower. And again, that might feed into more demand in the market when we really don't have the supply to support it. Now, like I said, that's the demand, obviously, but the supply is really lacking. We just simply don't have the supply that we need. There's a lot of reasons for this, but I think one big factor is that a lot of people are staying put because of the economic situation here in HRM. So I think that, for example, I think baby boomers are staying in their homes longer before they downsize to an apartment, because downsizing to an apartment might mean $2,800 a month or $3,000 a month in rent, and that's not really ideal when you're looking at somebody moving from a home that has no mortgage on it, right? So as long as they can stay in their place, they're going to stay a little bit longer. I'm also seeing, in terms of my market especially, because a lot of my friends are, mid 30s or early 30s, and they're looking to upsize from homes that I sold them in 2 years ago. A lot of these people are staying put for a little bit longer. And again, it's because the logistics of moving are difficult. It's because the price points are high. It's because maybe they're locked into a really low mortgage because they bought 5 years ago. So their mortgage is on like $300,000 instead of like $500,000 of what their home would be worth today. So people are staying put longer. So that's one more factor that's, not bringing more and more listings to the market like we would need to see to turn anything around in terms of the overall conditions of the market. We've also had several announcements lately that are overall government incentives that are not increasing the supply like we need. They're actually going to increase demand. So it sounds good when the government makes these announcements, right? It sounds good when they make announcements of trying to do things that are making homes more affordable in terms of monthly payments and things like that. So one example would be the 30-year amortization mortgages that were announced. That's coming out soon. So this is just going to extend the amortization, which in theory is going to drop your monthly payments, but it's going to increase the interest you're paying over the entire term of the mortgage. So that's one thing. There's also talks about, if Tim Houston is reelected, that there's going to be 2% down mortgages through credit union, which again sounds good, but if more demand comes into the market, it's probably going to have upward pressure on pricing. So a lot of these government incentives, also the down payment assistance program is another one. A lot of these government assistance programs or government programs that they're coming out with and all these announcements, they are doing what I would say is the opposite of what we should be looking at. We should be looking at increasing supply, and increasing supply as quickly as humanly possible. Supply is one of the only things that's really going to have a good positive effect on the ground level of the market, because most of these programs are increasing the demand, and with more demand has upward pressure on pricing. So they should be focusing on the other side, even though it sounds good when they make things more affordable. And I'm not saying that it's not good for some people. Of course it is in certain situations, but as a whole, a lot of these types of announcements and programs that are coming out or that are going to be coming out are going to have upward pressure on pricing as a whole. Now, housing starts is another one. We're increased year over year for sure, but we're still nowhere near where we need to be. And that huge deficit of home starts and building starts and overall housing units is a huge, huge problem. Again, a huge, huge lack of supply. And again, kind of circling back around to consumer confidence, I think that people are less likely to think right now that the market's going to crash next year or that prices are going to come down anytime soon based on the whole economic situation here and based on what a lot of the industry members are saying and what a lot of the projections are saying. So I think there's a lot of almost FOMO in the market and people trying to get in before the prices continue to go higher and higher. Now, obviously, nobody has a crystal ball, but based on the metrics that I'm looking at, I would very much suggest that home prices are not going to go down year over year anytime soon in the HRM. So bringing it all back to, that's a lot of numbers and it's a lot of facts and statements and all these things, but what does this mean for you if you're looking to buy a home or if you're looking to sell a home anytime soon in the HRM? First of all, as a blanket statement, it really depends. There's a lot of variables that go into what it means if you're looking to buy or sell a home, but I'm going to kind of touch on both of these quickly. So if you're looking to buy a home, if you're looking to buy a home anywhere in the lower than average home price, so anything lower than, let's say, $575, even $600 or $650 in a lot of areas, it's going to be pretty difficult. You're going to face a lot of competition. You're likely to see a lot of competing offers. You're likely to see a lot of homes selling over the asking price. And it's really tough out there. Honestly, I've had some buyers looking in this price range recently, and it is very tough. Now, on the flip side of that, if you're looking to buy a home in, let's say, the $700,000, $800,000 or $900,000 range, or even higher, kind of that luxury market, outside of a few very hot markets like maybe the west end of Halifax, south end of Halifax, maybe Creighton Park, some places like that, outside of kind of these higher demand markets, you're going to have a little bit more negotiating room. There's going to be more listings available. There's going to be less competition. You're less likely to face competing offers. You're more likely to get something under the asking price, depending on exactly how it's listed. But again, that really depends. Now, on the flip side of that, if you're looking to sell a home, well, basically just the opposite applies, right? So if you're looking to sell a home in the lower price ranges, it's going to be very busy. You should probably price it aggressively and hold offers to an offer deadline and let the offers come to you and let those buyers determine what that market price is going to look like. And then again, if you're on the higher end, well, it might take a little bit longer depending on your neighborhood. So you need to be talking to your agent or you need to be doing the research yourself if you're doing it privately to see what the overall market conditions are in your specific marketplace, because it is not a blanket statement. An $800,000 home in the west end of Halifax is very different than an $800,000 home in Fall River or Middle Sackville. That just is what it is. That's the truth right now. So if you're looking to list your home, and let's say it is $800,000 in Middle Sackville, let's just say as an example, and I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but you should be looking at what is currently on the market. So what is your competition, and also what has been selling. So for example, if there's 10 homes on the market, but in the last 2 months, there's only been 2 home sales above $700,000 each month, well, it's going to take some time for your home to sell because there's only so many sales happening and you're in competition with 10 other homes in your area. So again, that's just a little example. Now, one type of buyer that this market is very good for is somebody looking to sell their first home to move up to a bigger home or maybe a different neighborhood or something like that. And the reason for this is because let's say you bought, I don't know, a semi in Sackville maybe 5 years ago. That home that you bought for maybe mid 200s or maybe even 300 is now worth 450 or something along those lines. So you're selling in a market that is a seller's market. Your home is going to sell very quickly for top dollar, and you can very much negotiate what you want out of it as a seller because you hold the power in that seller's market as a general statement. So if you're looking to sell this home and then move up to, let's say, something in the $700,000 or $800,000 range, that is the flip side. Then you would be buying more than likely, again, depending on the neighborhood, in a buyer's market. So you're selling in the right market conditions, and you're buying in the right market conditions as well. So that type of buyer right now, it is a great market to move up to your next home, and you really have a lot of control on the listing housing side of things if you're in that kind of $500,000 price range, which a lot of people are, especially a lot of the people I've dealt with over the last 5 years. So I'm curious, if you're still here watching, you obviously have some vested interest in this topic, and I'm curious, what do you think about the market? Do you think it's going to continue to go up? I certainly do. That's my opinion. I know everybody's going to say, well, you're a realtor, of course you know that, or of course you think that, but the truth is, I'm looking at the metrics. I'm very logical, and I'm just looking at the numbers, and I don't see how the price points are going to come down anytime soon. And I understand that a big argument for that is the overall affordability. People can't afford it. Well, the harsh reality is only enough people have to afford it. And I hate saying that, but it is the truth, right? So if there's 5,000 home sales in Halifax every year, only 5,000 people have to afford it. The masses don't necessarily have to be able to afford it to make the market continuing to climb up. We have a lot of people coming here from Ontario and out of province, and a lot of times they're still working in their other jobs out of province, making better money than they would in Halifax, but they're paying living expenses on mortgages that are, a lot less than they would be in Ontario and BC. So again, that's just another example, and I'm kind of rambling, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think about what's happening in the market, and where do you think it's going is my next question. What do you think is in store for 2025? Now, if you're still here watching and you got any value out of this video, all I ask is that you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future content. And that'll help push this out to more people like you who may be interested in being educated in the Halifax and Nova Scotia real estate market. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, and have a great day.